everyone! So I was doing my regular rounds of online fashion research and internet deep diving, and something in particular really caught my eye. Now, I'm no stranger to alternative fashion, just ask my teddy bear shoes. And I'm also not really one for remaking other people's fashion just to say it can be done at a lower price. The original is a high fashion product at a small quantity. Of course it's going to have a high price tag. However, as soon as I saw this shirt by Burberry, thing is, I had to study Burberry in fashion school and I still cannot pronounce their name. It is a deep curse of mine. Anyway, as soon as I laid eyes on this shirt, it made permanent residence in my brain and I just cannot get it out until I make it. It really speaks to me because it's both, you know, alternative fashion, but also a little bit cursed, and I just want it on my body. But I also want it to be a little bit more personalized to yours truly. Today, come along with me as I make something else that doesn't really need to exist, but I want it to anyway. Let's get started. Here's the thing, I could flex my pattern making skills and make a pattern for this 3-collared shirt, but what would save me more time and fabric would be to just go to a thrift shop and buy 3 shirts and just Frankenstein them together. And that's exactly what I did. I went to my local Save Mart and I brought 3 shirts. Luckily enough, 2 of them are actually the same shirt, it's just that they're different sizes, but I don't think it will be too much of a problem. The 3rd shirt will be the center shirt to divide the other 2 shirts, so it's going to be like plaid, plain, and then plaid. Now all that's out of the way, start cutting them up. The first step was to find the center back line of the 2 side shirts and mark them temporarily. Then marking 1 centimeter next to the side seam to create a seam allowance on the side I'm going to cut away. Continue to mark a seam allowance around the half collar and continuing down the placket. Most of this will be folded away when it is sewn down, but it just helps ensure that the edge will be clean and tidy. Then we just get straight into the destructive part and cut up the seam allowance line on that side of the garment. It always feels strange cutting up a finished garment, but at least this is serving another purpose and the scraps will come in useful elsewhere. Then just repeat for the other side of the 2nd outer shirt, so now we have 2 half shirts. Very nice. For this project we will be getting help from Brittany the mannequin, as I need to drape the side shirts over the main shirt and it's easier to do on a human form. Let's just hang on for a second because I would like to clarify that I did not name that mannequin after me, because that would be very weird even for me. I actually got her from when I was studying at fashion school, because it's very common for stores, if they're shutting down or getting rid of stock, that they just donate it to the school. Me and a bunch of other classmates had to put our name into a raffle and I won her, and it actually turned out that the store that she came from had called her Brittany. So it was almost destiny that we would meet each other, and I thought it was kind of silly that we both had the same name, so I kept it. So there you go, back to the video. To help the side shirts drape easier on my lovely volunteer, I cut away the sleeves and side seams. It doesn't look pretty, it's actually a pretty bad job of cutting it, but at least it means the shirts can be slipped over the arms, and all I need to do is pin them to the main shirt. And you can see by draping it that it just helps ensure that the collars would sit over the shoulders correctly. I draped only 1 sleeve at a time and sewed them down separately, as I wanted to measure off the first one and match it to the other side. That seam allowance I cut from earlier was folded underneath, so the outside had a clean edge to sew against. Once the first sleeve was pinned up, I edge stitched it down. Didn't bother matching the hem as I'm going to shorten the entire garment later. To help match the other side up, I measured and marked the stitching line of the completed side shirt. Then placing it back on Brittany, as it was just a case of matching the lines up and pinning them in place. Back to sewing it down. This garment is one of the simplest I've done in a while, so it was really fun just to cut and sew it back together. So now we're at the point where there's a bunch of raw fabric from the middle shirt poking out from the inside. To tidy this up, I cut about 2.5 centimeters of a seam allowance of the raw fabric on both sides. This is going to act as a kind of self-fabric binding to cover the edges. On the sewing machine, I folded the fabric as I went over the top of the outer shirt and edge stitched it down. Didn't bother pressing it because I have no excuse other than the fact that I'm lazy, but hey, it worked. Now these shirts did already have a few buttons missing, and instead of finding some close ones to match, I ended up buying completely new buttons. These shank buttons are so pretty and shiny, but they're also too big for the side shirt, so I might not be able to open them up again in the future. My bad, but at least they look good. Next, I just cut a new hem edge to turn up and sew. One trick I've learned along the way to get a really nice rolled hem edge is to overlock it first, as this will stabilize the fabric and make it easy to turn up without needing to press it first. Now technically you can call this garment finished, but for me, to help it look more like an intentionally made garment rather than 3 shirts stuck together, I wanted to take in the side seams and lift the shoulders just to help it look a little bit more tailored. So my process here is more of a hack job than anything, so please don't take this as a professional technique. But what I did was just pin and mark where I needed to take it in, which was up the side seam and then just around where I wanted the shoulder seam to finish. Then added a 1 centimeter seam allowance to the pin line, so up the side seam and the arm side, and just cut it off. Then I unpacked the sleeve from the old armhole and pinned it to the new arm side, but not in a full circle. I left a small gap at the bottom to allow to sew the side seam up, as it may not be a perfect match. Then I just pinned the side seams together and reshaped that to help ensure the sleeve would fit in there correctly. Then I sewed the side seam, overlocked it, then fitted the rest of the armhole side to fit at that side seam. And after that was sewn down, then it was just overlocking the armhole. Fixed a little bit at the bottom of the side seam, and then we are finally finished with this project. As much as I enjoy making complicated garments, it's a breath of fresh air to work on something like this also. The triple collar effect is such a wonderful dominant feature, and to have this piece come together so quickly made it a lot of fun. I have no idea where I'm going to wear this shirt to, but I'm sure there'll be an oddly specific occasion in the future that it will be perfect for. But with all that said, hope you'll have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye!